one of the saddest things that ever happened to Nigerian football. Football fans across Nigeria have reacted to the news that their team has been suspended from international football. FIFA's emergency committee made the decision after a local court sacked Nigeria's football federation following the World Cup. Arise News' Francis Maguire has more.
It was the Super Eagles' best World Cup performance since 1998. In their first game, they faced Group F underdogs Iran, but no one could find a way through to goal and it ended up a 0-0 draw. Then it was Bosnia and Herzegovina, and a strong performance from Nigeria meant they came out on top. A 3-2 loss to World Cup finalists Argentina followed in what was one of the most entertaining games of the tournament. Qualifying second in their group, Nigeria had reached the second round, but a strong performance from France ended the Super Eagles World Cup dream, with Nigeria losing 2-0. But that didn't stop a local court sacking Nigeria's football federation when the World Cup was over. The NFF leader Aminu Maigori was arrested on his return from Brazil, and his organisation accused of derailing Nigeria's World Cup bid. But FIFA sees this as government interference, which is banned under their charter. In a statement, FIFA said, during the period of suspension, the NFF may not be represented in any regional, continental or international competitions, including at club level or in friendly matches. And the ban will only be lifted when a properly elected NFF Executive Committee, the NFF General Assembly and the NFF administration are able to work without any interference in their affairs. The ban's not gone down well with fans and commentators. One fan says he's fed up with issues like this often affecting the national team.
The football house is having issues, and really Nigerian Football Federation is really, there's so much politics in it. They're always quarreling with the coaches, complaining about some players not being there. So the government should sanitize issues.
And one football commentator says it's impossible not to mix football with politics.
The NFF, they have budgetary allocations. The NFF is captured in the budget of every government in this country. So that interference must be there as long as they are bringing out that money. And that is my quarrel with FIFA.
FIFA's suspension means the first team to be affected will be Nigeria's under-20 women's team, who won't be able to play in August's World Cup. Francis Maguire, Arise News.
Well, Stefano Lucatello is a senior partner at Kobalt Law, and he specialises in international law and football, and he joins us now live in the studio. Quite interesting to say that, you know, football should not be mixed with there isn't a more political animal than FIFA, is there?
It was only a few weeks ago that I was here talking to you about Qatar, and we're back here again talking about another issue with FIFA. It's time that FIFA regulated its own house before it went dissolving countries, executive committees and the membership there. Nigeria quite clearly has its own troubles inside of its own organisation. The NFF is fraught with problems, and the government, there is some government intervention. Yes, fine, we shouldn't have government intervention. Rules 13 and 17 of the regulations of the statutes of FIFA say that it should be free from any government intervention. However, we have to see what's going on behind it. There are allegations that money has not been paid to the players. There's allegations of all sorts flying backwards and forwards between governments and the organisation itself. So we really have to understand what's going on before we can actually accuse anyone. But I would go back to saying that FIFA should regulate its own house first.
And absolutely, almost a case of people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. But what's FIFA's point here? What are they hoping to achieve by this? Are they looking to maybe deflect some heat from themselves? Or?
Well, I think it's taken everyone by surprise how the Nigerian government acted when the team returned with its chief executive being arrested straight away, albeit on the basis that they want to check the finances of the NFF. We have to see what's true or not. Whether it's a deflection of something from the main troubles that FIFA's having or not, we can't tell for the moment. It's not clear. We will have to wait and see what's happening. But certainly, it doesn't show itself in the greatest of lights, FIFA, again.
The Nigerians say that they did follow the rules and they actually sent the papers through to FIFA, and they're perfectly justified to get rid of the NFF if they're not delivering. The officials are not delivering.
The problem is, Heather, that the government got rid of the executive committee. It wasn't the committee itself, by its own statutes and internal rules and regulations, that got rid of its own committee and said, right, we want you out, we want new voting, and we want to vote a new team in. What's happened is the government has said, right, we're going to issue an interlocutory application in the courts in Jos. They've issued it in the Plateau Court, and they've said, right, we want you out, we want to issue our own team, we want to have our own civil servant put the team together, and we want to be governing it and seeing what's going on. Their excuse is that they want to investigate the finances of the NFF and see what's going on behind the scenes, and also that they've been disgraced by the fact that the executive has not paid the bonuses to the players that they should have been paid for having reached the finals at the World Cup.
Has there been any evidence before of this level of interference by governments into football? Is it a growing problem? Is it something that needs to be nipped in the bud, and maybe that's why FIFA's acted the way it has?
It's only ever happened in African states. It has never happened in anywhere else other than in Africa. And it seems to me that it could, on the one side you could see it as a problem that only happens in Africa, but then on the other side you could also see it as a problem which FIFA brings in against itself because of what it does and it doesn't do.
Indeed. I mean, isn't the bonus system actually part of the problem?
The bonus system is part of the problem. How it's paid, how it's calculated, when it's paid, and to whom it's paid. There are certain players that are saying, oh, we should have had some and we weren't paid it. The whole lot are saying that it was promised, it wasn't paid. So I can't tell you at the moment what's happening. I need to keep my eye on what's happening further in the developments in the next few days as to where we're going to go and so.
And what really is the legal issue here? Can the NFF in any way stand up to FIFA and appeal that decision of the suspension?
Well, the NFF is saying that the current executive that's been elected by the civil servant who's been put in to govern this in this interim period until the court decides in Lagos, in Jos, to hear the case, that they're governing matters and they're looking after the internal NFF organisation and its needs and requirements in a perfect way. FIFA is saying that the election of this committee was not correct, it wasn't done correctly, and therefore it must be re-elected and the old one must be brought in.
In the meantime, what happens to those poor people who are training hard now, particularly the under-20 women's players? Yes. They've got the World Cup this year. What happens to them?
So far as I understand it, all local, national and international games are banned. Nigeria is a pariah now. It's closed within itself. It cannot do anything with regard to football, whether it's playing it or whether it's membership of FIFA and going to meetings, so executives can't go, they won't be recognised, and at the moment it's in isolation in the whole of Africa and the whole of the world.
Stefano, thanks very much indeed
Pleasure.
for joining us.
Thank you.